YouTube. Today I'm going to be showing you my first year's attempt at canning. I have not really canned before. A long time ago I did a little bit of jam, but I've never actually canned vegetables, never used a pressure canner. So this was really my first year attempting canning. I just wanted to give you an idea of the things that I canned and show you some of the products that I made up. And I'm super proud of my first attempt, but I'm definitely planning on canning. I'm super proud of my first attempt, and I'm definitely planning on doing some more canning this coming year. I was very scared of using a pressure canner, but now I feel a little more comfortable. I bought a Presto pressure canner, and it's the one that has the weight on it rather than the gauge. I felt like that might have been easier for someone that was just starting out. The first thing is these beets. I actually happen to love pickled beets. It's one of my favorite things to eat. I like to have them in salad or just plain. So I did bottle a bunch of these, and unfortunately I did not grow them. I didn't grow enough to really have, you know, enough of an amount to make it worth canning. So there's a farm near me that's like a pick your own farm. So I went there and I was able to get them for a really good price. So I did a bunch of cans of these. The next thing is tomato sauce. I opted not to make, I did make some pasta sauce, you'll see, but I opted not to make anything out of the tomato sauce, just can it as sauce, because I figured later on I could turn it into other things, but I can't turn pasta sauce into, you know, maybe something I would use that I don't want the seasonings in. So I did mostly do tomato sauce. And you'll see, I actually labeled most of my jars. I didn't do the pickled beets because they're easy to look at and figure out they're pickled beets. So this is all tomato sauce. The next thing that I canned that's here is, these are cowboy candy, which are basically candied jalapenos. I do not like a lot of spicy stuff, but the sugar in it definitely cuts on the spice, so they're not so difficult. And I actually turned them into, I actually use them to make like an appetizer. I will take a block of cream cheese and pour this on top, and it tastes really good with crackers. So that's something that I've used these for, and I've heard people say they use them for hamburgers and as toppings on things, but I personally have just used it for that dip. The next thing I canned, which I can't actually tell you how it turned out, is this cucumber. The next thing I canned, which I can't really tell you how it turned out, is these pickles. I have actually tried pickling. I've actually tried making pickles in the past and have had nothing but soggy and very like limp pickles that I don't even like eating. This year, for the first time, I actually bought something called Pickle Crisp, and it's supposed to give you crispy pickles. So I'm waiting to try it, but it does, at least from the jars, look like they seem to be okay. So I'm kind of hoping that they will be crispy and not soggy, limp pickles. The next thing that I canned, this is the first time I actually really pressure canned, was these carrots. I have an Amish market not too far from me, well, maybe like a 45-minute drive or so, and I got carrots from there, and so I canned these, and this was my first time pressure canning. The next thing that I canned is this pineapple salsa. I'm not a huge salsa eater. Like, I do like a salsa that has some sweetness to it. I know Costco makes like a mango salsa, so this is kind of similar. I had some peaches, so I did make that, the peach salsa. The next thing I canned were these baked beans, and I've never actually canned baked beans before, but like I said, this is my first time having a pressure canner, so I did attempt these. They tasted pretty good when I tried the sauce, and I will link the recipe down below in the description box. The next thing I did was these tomatoes, and I'm actually gonna hold judgment on these tomatoes because they sealed up okay, but they're yellow tomatoes, and I don't know if it has something to do with that, but two of the jars were like turning brown or dark on top, and I ended up throwing them away. So I'm not sure if it's something with yellow tomatoes or I did something wrong. So this is my first attempt at making cranberry sauce. And then I also did plum jam. I had in my neighborhood a lady advertised on Facebook Marketplace that she had so many plums and she was selling them, and I went and got some from her. They were locally grown, and she said she didn't put any chemicals on them, and they were so delicious. but I could only eat so many plums, so I did turn some of them into plum jam. The rest of these jars are all beans. I have never canned beans before because I didn't have a pressure canner, but these actually turned out really good. And I've opened a couple of jars of them and used them, and they smell and taste like, to me, just like canned beans that you would get at the store. The last thing is just, I guess I'm showing you some of my canning jars. This is where I store my canning jars, and some rice that I have. I have kind of food stored all over the place, but I was very lucky because I get canning jars a lot of times from people that, you know, are no longer canning, or they're just trying to pass them on. And some lady gave me probably 9 or 10 of these old blue mason jars, and I absolutely love them. I plan on using them for food storage because I don't think they're really safe to can anymore in. At least I don't think they're safe to can. So I'm planning on using them just for storing dry goods. One thing I didn't mention in my intro was that I also, for the first time this year, tried dehydrating. I bought myself a dehydrator, and I did a lot of random small amounts of things. One of the things that I dehydrated that I'm really happy about are these leeks. I grew leeks in my garden for the first time, and they are like really nice to have to throw into soups, and it's just nice to have them dry. I also did some apple slices in the back. I'm sorry, there's not very good lighting. It's in my basement. I did a bunch of figs because this is the first year I successfully grew figs, so I dehydrated those. These are just some sweet potatoes left over that I'm going to use for next year's slips. I did some potatoes. A lot of them are upstairs. And then I did some, as you can see, some peppers and some bananas. It was just kind of whatever I had extra of. I didn't want to waste it, so I decided instead of freezing everything, I would try dehydrating it so that I, keep stuff out of my freezer and use it for meat and other things like that. I forgot one more item down here. I didn't show it to you, and that is beef stock. I mentioned that I get a quarter cow, and so for the first time, I had a lot of bones. I never have that many bones, but I did ask the farmer for bones. So I did actually can this is my first attempt at beef broth. So I hope it turned out okay. I haven't used it yet, but I'm excited to try it. The other thing that I wanted to show you is my food storage. I can honestly tell you, before 2020, I never stored extra food. I mean, I pretty much had a little bit of extra, but never really thought about storing extra food. But that was kind of a lesson learned for me. I remember going into Walmart one day shortly after the pandemic began, and the freezer section for my Walmart was completely empty. Like, it had, I think, there are 3 aisles of freezers at my Walmart, and it had just a couple bags of bell peppers, and that was all that was in there. So since then, I decided that I should probably keep a few things in my, extra food storage. So this is where I keep my extra food storage. I'm just gonna kind of quickly go over the things that I store. And some of these are items that, you would say this is not a necessity item, but I feel like if things are really bad, you kind of want some things that are like comfort foods. So I have some Jell-O and graham crackers because we like to make s'mores. And then a lot of these are just, milk products, coconut milk, evaporated milk. Okay, the next is just, it's like a hodgepodge of things, like stovetop. I like to make tortillas, so I got some corn flour for the tortillas. I like to bake, and I do buy these. I've actually stopped buying them, these corn muffin mixes, because I just buy the corn flour now, and I've gotten a recipe for doing it without the boxes, because I don't want to buy the boxes. And of course, giant box of macaroni and cheese and cookies. And after Christmas, I got a lot of these M&Ms really cheap at Walmart, so I keep those for baking cookies. This is a lot of Pakistani groceries. I keep it kind of separated. These are all things to cook Pakistani food, so it's nothing most people would recognize. Also some more Pakistani food. And then this was also my first year actually attempting kidney beans, canning them, because I've never canned beans before, and I used to think it was okay just to keep them dry, but I do like the convenience factor of being able to dump them, and I use this in my chili. This here is just a lot of also beans and lentils and some chocolate chips and a lot of pasta. I do have a good amount of pasta down here. Some sugar that I keep in this big bucket. It's like a 3-gallon bucket, and then I keep some flour in here. And tomato paste and a lot of tomato products. As you see, I have enough tomato sauce, so I don't need too much. And a bunch of olives in the back, some dates. I keep a lot of, this is where I kind of keep any meat that, you know, can store for a long time. So tuna, I bought these tuna packs, which I've never tried, so I should try them. Just stuff to drink, like Tang or pink lemonade. And then also just peanut butter, because I use a lot of peanut butter in my smoothies and in eating with apples. I like to eat apples and peanut butter. More lentils. There's a lot of peppers in the back. I grew up a lot of peppers, and I just had so many peppers that I just had to dehydrate them. And then I also visited my son in Arizona and tried some recipes there. So I bought a bunch of peppers from Arizona. I'm sure they were available here too, but I guess I was all excited to try it, making those. And of course you can see my ring of canning lids, canning rings. Here's a lot of coffee, oatmeal to make some granola, or I make also no-bake cookies. A lot of pasta over here, just some tea to make iced tea. And then this is all just kind of a lot of condiments or sauces and all, like General Tso's sauce. And then this is just a bunch of soups that I, you know, keep just for, I feel like you have to have some kind of convenience food in case you don't feel like cooking. So I do keep some things that are convenient. And then up here, I actually do not eat a lot of cereal, but I couldn't resist because I went to Walmart and they had all the Fruit Loops after Christmas for $1. So I bought a bunch of boxes of Fruit Loops. And then this is just, most of them are just like cake mixes that I use to make cookies with. And that's pretty much my food storage. It's pretty much everything that I have. And then I do have 2 freezers, which I can do a tour if anyone's interested in what I keep in my freezers. I do purchase a quarter cow as it was listed in my last video, so I will be getting that meat soon, and I still already have some meat from the previous quarter cow that I got. So that would be all. I hope you enjoyed seeing the items that I canned. As I mentioned, I'm new to canning, so some of these items might not be done. They might not be as pretty as someone that's been canning for a while, but I was overall pleased with the results. I did have some items not turn out, but I am still learning and I'm hoping to get better at it, and I am definitely planning on canning more. I love gardening, so it's actually like a natural result from that I want to preserve those items, and I want to keep space in my freezer and not use up, you know, I would like to keep the space for meat basically rather than vegetables if at all possible. So I did freeze some items, but I am definitely looking forward to canning some more items in the coming year. I will definitely be sharing about seed starting and starting my garden for this year. I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope that you would like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you.